Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com as always, and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift_NoDQ. I got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQTurns20. We have the Royal Rumble coming up. As always, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest breaking news and rumors regarding the Royal Rumble. And with that being said, let's get down to your questions. First one today comes from Smirtaza. Hey Aaron, if Daniel Bryan does not get cleared by WWE, do you see John Cena fighting Shane for him? As he is already rumored for a major match at WrestleMania, but the problem is that Bryan is acting like a heel, so what do you think? Interesting theory. Of course, the big rumor is that John Cena is going to be in a match bigger than the WWE title match at WrestleMania. What does that mean? Is it John Cena versus The Undertaker? I still feel it's that, although knowing Vince McMahon's logic, a match with Shane McMahon is huge. It's a big deal at WrestleMania to face Shane McMahon. I could see Vince feeling that way, that a Shane McMahon match would be a bigger match than John Cena versus AJ Styles. As ridiculous as that might sound to some, I could see Vince feeling that way. I still feel that it is Cena versus Undertaker. Realistically, that makes the most sense if John Cena is doing a match bigger than the WWE title match. I still expect Shane McMahon to be in a match at WrestleMania, whether it's against Daniel Bryan, and let's not get our hopes up on that one, but it could be Bryan, it could be somebody else fighting for Shane. I would be surprised if it turned out to be John Cena. I'm not expecting it, but then again, anything is possible, anything can happen, and it's hard to say for sure. But my feeling is, my gut feeling is that it's going to be Cena and Undertaker at WrestleMania. Either that or Cena is going to end up in one of the title matches at WrestleMania. I think between the Universal title and the WWE title, it would be more likely for Cena to be going for the WWE title, and you would have Roman Reigns going for the Universal title. Got this one here from Kenneth. What are your thoughts, Aaron? I think The Miz should win the Royal Rumble. He is one of the best in the ring and on the mic. I think he deserves to win it, and he should be challenging AJ Styles at WrestleMania 34. I know it will not happen, but what do you think? I feel like The Miz is cutting the best promos of his career. Every year he gets better and better. Now, with that being said, I don't see WWE giving The Miz a main event push again. And I feel like The Miz is in a spot right now where he's a mid-card heel. He cuts his promos, he trash talks, and then he gets beat up. He's not the main event heel that dominates everyone. And I feel like the main event heel should be dominant. The main event heel should not be relying on cronies to do his bidding for him for the most part. I feel like the main event heel should have some real credibility and a guy that can win without cheating. When it comes to The Miz, he's playing this character of a guy who is good, but he tends to run his mouth a bit too much, and he writes checks that his ass cannot cash. That's how I see The Miz's character, and I don't see that as WrestleMania main event caliber of a character. That's just how I see it. The Miz is great, though. I mean, does he deserve it? Does he deserve the spot as a performer? Yeah, the guy's great. The Miz, to use his own term, is awesome. Got this one here from Sean. With the storyline that Baron Corbin ruins all of his opportunities, what do you think of him winning the Royal Rumble and winning the WWE title at WrestleMania? I think it would be cool. Well, that makes one of us, because I think the ship has sailed on Baron Corbin. I feel like after losing Money in the Bank and losing his momentum, I feel like Baron Corbin has already peaked in WWE. I don't see him getting that main event push, and I'm not really sure he's the most deserving guy for that spot. I think there are several guys, The Miz, going back to that previous question, that I would rather see in that title match at WrestleMania in that big high-profile match. I feel like Corbin has a good look, although, you know, the thing with his hair, he seems to be pretty sensitive about that. I've suggested maybe him shaving his head or just changing his look a little bit. He's got the height, he's tall, he's a pretty good wrestler, but I just don't feel him in a position of being a WWE WrestleMania headliner right now. I feel like if there was the opportunity to do it, it was in the past when he had the Money in the Bank contract. Now, I feel like it just would not have that impact. Next one comes from Chris. What's going on with these controversial storylines on SmackDown? They tend to do something desperately to set up a feud for AJ Styles' opponent. Do you see him potentially facing Orton after? Great question. I'm not sure what's going on with AJ Styles in WrestleMania. WWE is definitely keeping it interesting. WWE has, well, not WWE specifically, but the Nationwide Arena, let me try to say that again, Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio, they have been advertising a fatal five-way match for the Fastlane pay-per-view on March 11th, which includes AJ Styles defending the WWE title against Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. Now, as far as Randy Orton and AJ Styles goes, I would love to see that match. I think that that would be a great feud. Will it happen at WrestleMania? Again, I don't know at this point. Like everyone else, I'm guessing. I'm just speculating. I could see that feud, though, sometime in 2018. I definitely feel that that's a money feud, and that's a feud that could last several pay-per-views and be a potential feud of the year if done correctly. We'll see. I could definitely picture Randy Orton versus AJ Styles at some point in 2018. I just don't know when. This one comes from Sean T. Flick. Do you see Tommaso Ciampa returning at TakeOver to cost Johnny Gargano the title match? Yes, in fact, at this point, that would be my prediction for the match. Even though I don't see Andrade Cien Almas as a world champion caliber guy, I think that the fact that he just won the title means he'll be keeping it for a while, and it makes sense. It makes sense for Ciampa to interfere. The timeline is right. Ciampa should be coming back at any time now. You can have him interfere, ruin Johnny Gargano's dream of becoming the NXT World Champion, and bam, you get that feud hot again. You got to have some sort of resolution to that storyline, so what better way? This is the time to do it. Have Ciampa cost Gargano the NXT title, and right there, you get that feud hot again, and you can set up that match for TakeOver on WrestleMania weekend. So yes, I could definitely see that happening, and in fact, that is, as of right now, my prediction. But I will go into more detail about this with the NoDQ panel when we do our predictions video coming up very soon. This one comes from Cruz. Can you see Zelina Vega getting involved in Gargano versus Almas, causing Candice LeRae to make her debut? I like this idea too, but the only problem I would have in this particular match is if Ciampa's interfering and then you have Candice getting involved. At that point, I feel like it's getting a little bit overbooked and you would be drawing attention away from Ciampa appearing. Or if Ciampa appears, it takes away from Candice appearing. So I feel like you shouldn't do both in the same match. I could see that happening at some point. Maybe we will see Candice. I just don't know. I don't know if the timing's right for it to happen, because I feel like if I was going to pick one or the other, I think it's better to have Ciampa appear at the pay-per-view and cost Gargano the match. Yeah, Candice appearing and helping her husband, I think that's a great storyline, but I feel the real focal point should be on Gargano and Ciampa, and WWE should do something with that feud and do the big match, because they had such a great breakup, and it would be a shame if WWE did not properly follow up on it. So as much as I would like to see it, I think it's more likely we see the Ciampa interference. This one comes from Stephen Osborne. With the success of War Games at NXT TakeOver, is this the next step in the women's equalization? With the Welcoming Committee versus the Riot Squad versus Charlotte, Becky, and Naomi, I know it's probably highly unlikely in all likelihood, but I'm worried. I am not a fan of doing a War Games match with the women just for the sake of WWE wanting to be progressive and saying, hey, we're doing all the men's matches with the women, we're being progressive. You know, if there's a good storyline reason to do it, then I say yes, go crazy, do that match. But just doing it for the sake of doing it so WWE can say they had a women's War Games match, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan in general, whether it's a men's match or a women's match, of doing a stipulation match, just throwing it out there just for the sake of doing it. You need a good story behind it. Why are you doing this match? Why do these characters need this match to settle a score? That's my take on it, and I feel like doing a women's War Games match just completely randomly would be a mistake. This one comes from James. Would you like to see Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? There could be a story of jealousy between Gable and Jordan finding new partners and both winning the tag titles. Interesting idea for WrestleMania, and if Dean Ambrose is unable to return for WrestleMania, that could potentially be a big match because it would be Raw versus SmackDown, and I would expect at least one Raw versus SmackDown match at WrestleMania, and that very well could be it. You do have the backstory of Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. That would be an interesting match, I think, for WrestleMania. I still would prefer the Usos defending the tag team titles. That would be my preference, but if WWE decided to put the titles on Gable and Benjamin, then it's not a terrible idea at all to do Raw champions versus SmackDown champions at WrestleMania, and you have that whole backstory of American Alpha. I do like it, so I would not be opposed to it in the slightest. Got this one here from Larby. Who do you see winning the United States Championship Tournament? Why will WWE wait until the Royal Rumble to crown the new champion? The pay-per-view will be too long. Well, when you submitted this question, WWE had not announced a 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag team titles. So, Larby, I'm sure you're even more frustrated now about WWE doing this match when the pay-per-view already feels too long. It's going to be a long show. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm going to have to deal with it. Everyone's going to have to deal with it. So, my thoughts on the U.S. Championship Tournament. I mean, on paper, yeah, it does make sense to do the finals at the Royal Rumble. You should crown the champion at the pay-per-view. I'm a fan of that. I'm just not a fan of these super-duper long shows. Now, as far as the winner goes, I sense it's going to be Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal. I would be surprised if it was something else. I feel like that's the no-brainer match to do as the finals, and I could see it going either way as far as a winner goes, but I sense Jinder Mahal will win the United States title as a rebound. You know, Jinder Mahal was getting this monster push, WWE champion. He's cooled off a bit. I think him winning the U.S. title would get him back in the right direction a little bit. And Roode doesn't need it right now. I'd rather see Roode chase the title and maybe win it from Mahal at WrestleMania. You know, have Bobby Roode chase the title rather than have him win it right away. I think Mahal needs the win more than Roode at this point anyways, and you can set up Roode trying to win the title back at WrestleMania. Create the feel-good moment at WrestleMania. You know, I talked about before, like John Cena possibly beating Jinder Mahal when that was rumored. You could have Bobby Roode win the U.S. title for America at WrestleMania. I like that idea a lot better. It would be a glorious WrestleMania moment for Bobby Roode to beat Jinder Mahal for the title at WrestleMania. So that's what I would do. I would have Mahal win at the Rumble, have Roode chase it to WrestleMania, and win at WrestleMania. Got this one here from It's the Costanza. Another one for you, Aaron. Being that Brian Pillman's son made his wrestling debut, do you see a future match between him and Dean Ambrose if Ambrose is still in WWE? I think it's going to be a while if we do see Brian Pillman Jr. in a WWE ring. He's very young. He's just brand new to the business. He's green. It's going to be a while. I see him going through NXT if he does get the opportunity. And I think if he keeps at it and he's passionate and he gets good, I see him getting the opportunity. But that could be years down the line until he ends up on the main roster in WWE, if it even happens at all. If it does happen, who knows where Dean Ambrose will be at that point? Will he be still in WWE? Will he be in Japan or another promotion? You just don't know. I mean, it could eventually happen, but Dean Ambrose's character could be completely different. You just don't know. I mean, if it was going to happen in a year or so, then I'd say, yeah, there's a decent chance of them crossing paths. But who knows if Brian Pillman Jr. gimmick is going to be something like his dad. Is he going to be a loose cannon, or is he going to be a different character? So I don't know. I don't sense it's going to happen. I think it's a long shot, but you never know. Got this one here from Explicit PhD. And he is a first-time asker. Do you think WWE WrestleMania will return to Atlanta anytime soon now that we have the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium? It bothers me knowing the only WrestleMania in Atlanta was the awful WrestleMania 27. Yes, don't fret too much. I think you guys will get WrestleMania sooner than later. Knowing how WWE is, they like to stick to their safe comfort zones. You know, the Northeast, the Southeast, Texas, California, and that's pretty much it for WrestleMania these days. So I think it's only a matter of time, you know. There's rumors about WrestleMania 35 being in the Northeast. I could easily see 36 being in Atlanta, and then 37 being in California, and then 38 being in Las Vegas. If I had to make a crazy prediction, I'd say that will be the order. Something like that, with Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Vegas getting future WrestleManias with their new stadiums sometime within the next 5 years. So I think you will get it pretty soon. This one comes from Paul Jackson. Would you say that Hakushi was underrated and underutilized in WWE in 1995? Great match with Bret Hart at the first In Your House in May, and then what happened? I agree with you completely. I think that Hakushi was a very entertaining act in WWE. Very unique look with all the tattoos covering his entire body. Solid in the ring. I liked the character. Unfortunately, he turned babyface and he just quickly fizzled out. And back then, I mean, it was really hard for a guy to get over without being able to cut the promos. I mean, getting over back then was like trying to do a video with a guy outside pounding on something with a hammer. It's tough. It's an uphill battle. And there goes the screen. The screensaver. Wonderful. I had that set to 25 minutes. I'm not sure why it goes off in 18 minutes. I'm just going to leave this in because it's funny. So yeah, to answer your question, I liked Hakushi's character. I wish he had a longer run in WWE. I feel like he was in the wrong era. I feel like if he had come in now, he would have done a lot better. But back then in 95, I feel like he was not in the right era for WWE. He was a good wrestler, but he couldn't really cut the promos. He didn't really have that sports entertainment persona. He was more of an interesting looking wrestler who could do some cool things in the ring. But he didn't really have a whole lot of guys to work with besides people like Bret Hart, maybe 1, 2, 3 Kid. There are a few others, but there weren't a lot of guys for him to really have great matches with. You know, if he was, even in the 2000 era, I think he might have done better with guys like Benoit and Chris Jericho, those kind of guys to work with. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ Video. Thanks as always for watching. I appreciate your guys' viewership and support. I hope you enjoyed the little technical issues here, and hopefully the hammering outside wasn't too much of a distraction from this video. If you did like the video today, please share it. Go on Twitter or Facebook. Tell a friend. I'm sure you talk to people that watch wrestling. Have them check out Aaron Rift on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Aaron Rift, NoDQ. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will see you guys next time.